With that, let's turn to people requesting to be heard. And we'll start with Mrs. Inglefield, Rebecca Inglefield. Her topic is Hickory.
So I wanted to request...
And we're going to ask, just state your name and address.
Rebecca Inglefield.
And address.
Address, okay. Wasn't there some question about whether we have to give addresses or whether y'all share addresses, or was that an issue? Seems like I read some other meeting I wasn't here, but
no question about it.
It's always okay to reveal addresses.
Absolutely.
My address is in the book on 510 11th Avenue Place, Northwest in Hickory, 28601.
The reason we ask for that is it's important to know if someone is arrested in Hickory,
Good.
is expressing their input, or if they're from Winston-Salem, or some other location.
Good. So like if they're...
We're not going to put it in the book.
It's in the book. Well, good, yes, and I would like to ask that a couple of items be removed from the consent agenda. So is this the appropriate time for that?
Yes, it is. Oh, yes.
All right. So, the matter of the funding, so let's see here. All right. F and G, Exhibit 7F, Exhibit 7G, to remove from the consent agenda the G capital project ordinance amendment number 1 to accept $137,940 appropriation of this capital reserve parking fund balance and budget in the canopy project construction line item, and also H grant project ordinance amendment number 10, exhibit 7, Roman numeral 7H to let's see, that's the safety part. No, excuse me, F and G. Budget ordinance amendment number 21 to appropriate $137,940 from the capital reserve parking fund to transfer to the parking the canopy project. And then G, capital project ordinance amendment number 1, exhibit Roman numeral 7G, number 1, to adopt, to accept $137,940 appropriation of capital reserve parking fund balance and budget in the canopy project construction line item.
So those are items F and G?
Right.
Okay.
I make a motion that we remove those from the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Wright, second by Left. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no. That motion's carried.
Right. And what I also wanted to ask is...
Bear with me just
I'm
a
sorry.
minute. Do you want to go ahead and do a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda?
No, because we have other people requesting to be heard.
Okay. For the other items?
Well, I don't know. We've got Hickory Kent, we've got Mr. Lael's second motion, and we've got Jim.
Okay.
I also want to ask, what is the appropriate way to request the line item information regarding the canopy project?
Just make a public records request.
Okay, so I'd like to request that. What would I do to get that?
Put it in writing and send it to the city manager and school, and we'll get that information for you.
Get the line item
Sure.
information about the canopy. And then, you know, I never did understand what the cost of that fabric is, the awning.
That will be in the public record.
Okay. Do you all remember what that is?
That will be in the public record.
And also I wanted to ask, what's going to be the cost to maintain it? I've noticed already that those poles are rusty. Do they have to, I thought they were going to be aluminum or something, or do they have to be painted? Or wasn't aluminum the description in December? Because they're rusting, and I'm just wondering if that's going to have to be part of the maintenance.
This is really not a time to go back and forth, but I can tell you this, anything you want to know about this project, we're really easy to get along with. If you put your request in writing, and then if you want to follow.
Well, I put it on the Facebook, I got answers.
Well,
Is there a better way to request information?
we're pretty loose with complying with North Carolina statutes. The North Carolina statutes basically say it needs to be in writing, presented to the city manager, in this case, Ms. Doolin. If you put something in writing and get to Ms. Doolin and have any follow-up questions, there'll be a staff member that'll sit down and go over it with you.
Well, I mean, is Facebook not good enough? I mean, that was back in February.
But Facebook is not,
A way to
it's,
correspond with the city?
not for a public records request. That's a formal legal document that,
Okay. Well, I mean, I just had some questions about the canopy, and I think you were saying that, I mean, anyway, that was on
and or you can pick up the phone and call
Okay.
the city manager or assistant city managers. We're very open about all of this issues.
Good. All right, well, I'll call them. What's a good time to call? What's a good time to reach?
8:30.
8:30, and what's that, what's the best number to use?
323-7412.
And tomorrow morning's all right? All right, well, I'll call. Okay,
But any
so-
backup documents that you have, all you got to do is put that in writing and get to Ms. Doolin, and we'll get the documentation for you as quickly as we can.
Well, I apologize, I just thought Facebook would be a good way to correspond, but I just, I'm mistaken. All right, well, thank you. So those are removed from the consent agenda. All right, but we won't be discussing them tonight?
Well, we're going to discuss and vote on the project.
All right, well then, I'd like to just discuss them again at the appropriate time before the vote.
It's not a public hearing.
Okay, so this is the only time to discuss them right now?
You had your 3 minutes,
Okay.
I use my 3 minutes.
okay?
Okay. All right, well,
We give another 3 minutes.
thank you. All right, well, then, the reason I would like to get that funding removed from the consent agenda is that I believe that you all knew, even before you broke ground, about these additional expenses. The engineering was in January, the additional engineering that was required, and at any rate, it seems like a perfect time just to stop before other changes are made and evaluate the whole program. And this would be the perfect time to go ahead and let it out for competitive bidding and let this project out for ideas. Let's just stop it now and say, what else could we do with that money? What else could we do with that project? Instead of, 6 more months, 3 more months, needing more money, and it's still don't know where we're going with this project. We could have had a swimming pool for that. And I did want to clarify that my husband Jody was at a meeting when you said that the swimming pools were bulldozed because they were fluff. And so I just wanted to what's that the right word? Frill, I'm sorry. So, I mean, is that how you felt about those swimming pools that were bulldozed, that they were frills? Or maybe, if I'm misquoting you, please correct me, that you said they were frills and they were bulldozed because they were frills. So is that accurate or not accurate? Not accurate.
I didn't say that. This is not a debate.
No, I'm not debating. I just wanted to clarify because I don't want to
It's not give and
misquote
take.
you.
It's not give and take.
But Jody you said that those pools, the city bulldozed them and it was good because they were frills.
I'm not trying to be rude to
Right,
them.
thank you.
But if they're minutes, the minutes reflect whatever was said. We're not here to debate. We'll have a public discussion about
Right.
that.
Well, it is
But I
okay,
can tell you that City Hall is open
Good.
5 days a week from
Good.
sun up to about sundown. And anything you want to know about anything has to do with city government. Only if it's a piece of paper that's up there or documentation. All you gotta do is put it in writing and we'll get it for you real quick. And then if you've got some follow-up questions, staff will be glad to sit down and explain to you the background of that.
Right. Well, now, and then the other thing I would like to ask is, now that there is this money to talk about appropriating that could have been used for the swimming pools, the city paid for a survey, and every quadrant of this city wants a public pool. Will that be part of the new re-envisioning that you'll be?
Inspiring spaces.
Oh, I'm sorry, what, inspiring spaces?
Spaces.
So we'll have a public swimming pool for the inspiring space? Will that be a priority since the city has already said that it wants it? The pool, community pool? Or will there be another opportunity for discussion about that?
We simply are not going to engage in answering questions from the public.
When will be the time for discussion if this is not the time for discussion?
Call me on my cell phone.
Well, public discussion.
Well, we're gonna have community meetings. And I said, I'm giving you too much give and take. It's your turn to talk, and our turn to listen.
Well, I think that if the tent downtown had gone through the typical committee format and had not been rushed, that, you know, these changes and the huge extra expense would not have been incurred. And it's already rusting. And so one friend I had said he watched that Crone, they put up one pole, and that was a day's work. That was a month ago. And I saw Crane today putting up another pole. So, I mean, it's remarkable how long it's taken. But at any rate, a swimming pool is extremely important. It's not a frill. I'm sorry that you feel that it is. And this morning was a wonderful meeting over at the Gray's house, with a lot of agencies were there. The other thing, not even a swimming pool, also the great needs in this town. Safe Harbor has 2 buildings for homeless people that they can't open because they don't have the funding. Exodus Homes has shut down 2 houses because they don't have the funding to keep them open. They got closed, except Mitchell Gold saved them. And why he keeps helping this community that slaps the face of gays, I don't know. But I am grateful that Mitchell Gold continues to help this community. And I hope that this community somehow can say thank you to Mitchell Gold. But also, who was at that meeting? Mental health is shutting down their community support services. Mental health was there today. Cognitive Connections was there today. None of these agencies was well enough funded. Dr. Spearman has an after-school program for school children and a summer program that he may not be able to open due to funding. These are extremely important needs that are not being met. They never come up in city council. And here we go, spend this money, and now half again. And that's why, one of the reasons that I'm grateful to ask that these things be removed and not allocated in that way. Thank you.
Cliff Moon.
Mr. Mayor, Council. Cliff Moon, 2925 8th Street Court, Northeast, Hickory. I just wanted a clarification, and I had not planned to speak tonight. I know that, Mr. Lael, you made 2 motions. I did not hear in the motion that the second motion, the second motion, which had to do with the information on the front of our sheet, was seconded and passed, but I may have missed it in the time. I don't know what the record records at this point. I just was wondering if your second motion, which I thought was very important, was passed. The first motion was voted on. And so, so that motion has not passed, and therefore, at this point,
I can promise you that we're going to clean up whatever misinformation or elaborate on the procedure for the next agenda.
Well, I didn't interpret that as a motion. I interpreted it as a request.
Well, Mr. Lael made, and I heard Mr. Lael say, I have a second motion, and then there was some confusion about the next step. I'm glad, and I take you at your word on that. Just because I think the citizens who read the front of this agenda and read about consent agenda need to know the process by which something is removed or not removed, and know it well, so that your citizenry can make those comments at the appropriate times and make the discussions, appropriate. We all here serve in one way or the other at the consent of the citizenry, and want to make that clear. I know Ms. Crone,
as a lawyer,
excuse me, I thought it was my 3 minutes for just a second.
As a lawyer for the city, I agree with everything you just said. I think the citizens do need to be able to look at the agenda and know what the procedure is, to the extent that we can not reproduce our ordinances, which anybody can look at upstairs. But I agree with you.
And I agree also with you that you can't put a whole ordinance here, and I wouldn't expect that, quite frankly, just to make it clear that then. So, and again, I thought you had made a motion, and that was my understanding, and I was hoping that motion would pass. But as long as it's done, I think we're all going to be very happy with that. So I know I will be anyway. And I will only say in my last comment, and I really had not planned to speak tonight, that was my concern because I heard that motion. I really wish that some of you had been able to be there this morning at Grace House in our city to when the poverty tour came through, because there was a lot of information. It wasn't so much somebody speaking to us and making things about our city, our fine city, but it was hearing from a lot of folks in our city who are suffering and who are out there, so many of them homeless and many of them looking for ways to make it in our city. And I really hope that you will, I've talked to the mayor about this before in other areas, and I know it's important that citizens who are having meetings and having events make sure that you all are invited so that you can know that these things are happening. Because you don't always know before it comes out in the paper or something like that. But it was a very important aspect of our city and the care for our citizens. So I wanted to say that. So thank you very much for all of you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Walter Witherspoon, his topic is general.
Walter Witherspoon, 498 17th Avenue Northeast, Hickory. I hadn't planned to speak as well, but in the opening comments, it kind of got to me. And I've been confused with this project, as you well know, from the beginning. I have here 3 documents, and my first one is December, the 21st, and it says that the Hickory Farmers Market has $285,000 that they're going to put out. I thought it would be a farmer's market. But since having talked to Mr. Berry there, the name seemed to change. I was wrong. It said it was a canopy project. So, on a budget item, I guess I just don't understand these things. And further confusion on tonight. I find that on the consent agenda, we were discussing it earlier, the name has changed again to the Union Square Pavilion. Now, all these funds are separate, or are they on one project? Is this one project I'm looking at? Because we know we haven't named it yet, officially named it, but are these the budget names that they're taking here on? And you, like I said, you can't answer, you don't have to answer me. And I'll go to Mr. Berry tomorrow, or whenever time he's available, to ask him. Because I want this thing straight up in my mind, because I don't get there talking about something that'll, you think I just pester you, pester you. No, I'm not. I want to understand what is it, And as I noticed that the city got involved, you didn't answer that question for me. And as I look further, they got heavily involved. Now, we had a contingency fund that when the first $285,000 was roughly about $20,000. Then when you come with these additional funds, that wiped out that completely, $137. And we almost look at these 2 figures, additional prices is somewhere in the 35% to 40% higher than the original price. And like I say, it might be I hate this like a planning, but a foresight, because once you get in the ground, you know what's going to happen on this, after so many years. But was this considered initially? Or were we in such a hurry to get the structure up that we lost foresight? We didn't have any projection. And the more I listen about things that are rusting going on here, how long will that structure last? It's like that's money down the drain to me. Now these are my feelings. But that's all I had to say. Now I didn't want to say anything tonight, but this is something that it's got me kind of confused here. And I just think that maybe I could write it down because the city works hard. But I think there should be more public input because we make the final decisions. And the only thing we can do is rant and rave about it. If they don't, we agree, we go shake it, we agree. But if we disagree, nothing we can do about it, And I wish when you vote, think about those things. I'm just one citizen. But I thought other people there as well. Thank you.
Mr. Jimmy Davis, his topic is general.
I had my time for other concerned citizens for going to speak. One more time.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Okay, then I will call for a reconsideration of the consent agenda. And I make a motion we approve the consent agenda except for items F and G, which is considered separate.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Wright, second by Lael. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion's carried. Items F and G. I think we've probably heard about all sides of that discussion. It becomes a matter, I think it's a matter of do we proceed with the changes that have been identified and complete the project? Or do we close it down, delay completion, and revisit the cost and the process?
I'd like to say that I think it's going to be a great project for Union Square. It's the kind of thing that we saw in other cities that they're doing that give a certain ambiance. Is not the exact word, but they speak to when people visit the city. They say, you know what, this place is alive and vibrant. That structure itself is going to be, will have some color on it. It'll move, the sails will have curves to it. As when we were initially discussed it, it was likened to a piece of public art. But I'd like to take some responsibility from this Ward 1 seat that I don't think I did a good job on the initial deal. I should have asked some more questions initially on the project. Especially with regards to the timing and the cost. Hindsight's always 20/20. Our council's a group of people, like all the citizens of Hickory, and of course nobody's perfect, and we do try, everybody on city council tries to make the best decision they can make for the benefits of the citizens. This particular councilman doesn't necessarily regret the project, but I do regret the process with which we handled it. That being said, I move that we don't have a whole lot of options but to continue it, and when they feel good about it, I think we should celebrate it. It is going to be a good project. And over a period of time, the cost increase will not be seem so significant as this thing begins to age in 2 years. So I move that we approve items F, D, and G.
And a motion by Mr. Lael, second by Mrs. Fox. I guess as part of the discussion, I'd like to point out that we're, for the benefit of particularly Mr. Witherspoon, it's being referred to as the Canopy Project because that is the most absolutely neutral choice, and it will never be called the Canopy Project.
But Ron, respond to that. These are documents I got from the city. That's what I'm referring to. This information I'm talking about. It's not something I put in my mind. It's not
I just want to clarify that point. And
I want to clarify it too.
I hope I have made that point very clear.
I don't want to argue with you, sir, but I want to be clear. I have documents, your documents. Those are names that I saw on those names.
That's fine. I think I explained it adequately here. So.
And we'll discuss private if you wish.
And I believe that we certainly needed when we approved this that we had some time sensitivity because of the need. What we hoped to have happen was that the farmers market would open under the tent. Obviously, that's not going to happen, and we're going to continue and do it right, and we're not going to have a tent that collapses on people. So I'm not unhappy that we made a decision. The juxtaposition of Main Street what I said is I'm not going to regret making the decision when I did. And I think the combination of that old Main Street and this modern structure that's going to be used. It's going to be used by a church group. It's going to be used for singings. It's going to be used by farmers market. It will be used and viewed and enjoyed by many thousands of Hickory's residents as well as visitors to our community. So I'm not going to regret it. I know we have a good staff. We're working on it, trying to control the clerk costs, and I know they have operated at all times with the best interest of the taxpayers, as I'm certain our council has. And I want to move forward.
I think this is just the beginning. I think Mr. Well alluded to what we've seen in other cities. They made a bold move. They said this needs to happen. We have to start somewhere, and this was a great place to start. I'm not happy with the cost either, but I am excited about the project, and I think this is just the beginning of the inspiring places that we will have all over our community that will, in fact, invite people, and it will end up being an economic driver for people to want to be in Hickory because of the spaces that we offer.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to say, I think Mr. Ratt adequately explained the reason for the additional cost. And I don't think any of us that are sitting here anticipated, I think we anticipated there would be some additional cost, but I don't think any of us anticipated that amount of cost. And with that being said, I think it would be a bad decision for us just to stop it where it is and try to reinvent it or whatever. So I think for that reason, that I'd be in favor of just moving forward with the project.
Well, I would also like to add that the money for this is coming out of the parking fund. And there are, I think that parking fund has always been intended to be used. It is coming out of the parking fund. I saw a lot of head shaking, but it's coming out of the parking fund. And that was always intended to be used to facilitate shopping and events in Hickory. And so it's not coming out of the general fund. We're not assessing an additional tax. It's coming from a fund that I think, although we call it the parking fund, there is no legal restriction on that fund. And I think it's appropriate use for the money to promote our downtown and to make our citizens feel good that we're dressing up the place. So any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. It's unanimous.
Mr. Mayor, I would ask you all to consider a second reading on item 2.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lell, second by Mr. Patton. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion's carried.
And then we have one other item, which was the first departmental report, which was to consider a second reading of the consent agenda, the item which you just approved, which is amendment to the traffic ordinance for the farmers market, which is ordinance number 1114. Of course, we've kept the farmers market in the location they were in last year. And we need to amend the traffic ordinance to reflect the fact that those parking spaces will be taken on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and we ask you to consider a second reading on that right now.
Motion by Mrs. Patton, second by second by whom? Mr. Guest. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That's unanimous. Thank you all for being here. Oh, we have a motion to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. We need to adjourn. So. Parking.